I love traveling to Vietnam, but I have to say that not many things make sense to me. Even though I'm a very open-minded person, some culture shocks that I face can be hilarious, and some of them can be downright disrespectful and offensive. Let me tell you things about Vietnam that still catch me off guard. The first culture shock that you can see when you arrive in Vietnam is basically the job ads. Okay, it can be downright discriminatory. In many countries, hiring someone based in age or the looks or even your skin tone can be a base for discrimination and the companies can be sued, but not in Vietnam. For example, you see things like female only, from 18 to 25 years old, white skin looking. Or even you have nowadays for foreigners, you see a lot, especially in Facebook groups, like the European teacher, which is basically an excuse of saying, we are looking for a white teacher. So you see, most of the common Vietnamese people and employers like to take advantage of that. They see a Westerner, they see a foreigner as a white person. And in Asia as a whole, and Vietnam is not different, the white skin is seen as the skin or the skin tone of nobility, of wealth. So they see you like, oh, white equals rich, yes? So that's why for generations, for thousands of years, having a white skin tone is a privilege in Asia. Because if you have like a darker skin tone, if you're a sun-tanned, it means that you have to work outdoors, you have to work in the farm, you have to be exposed under the sun. And if you look white, if you don't have a suntan, it means that you can just live inside your castle, live inside your home. You don't need to go out and work. Or your job is you have a very high value job because you don't have to be out in the street. So yeah, definitely it's discrimination and it's normalized. But don't take me wrong, or don't take the Vietnamese people wrong. This is not intentional or malicious. This is just, yeah, it's a bad culture, but it is something that you cannot run away from it. And this is about the social class. It's not about who you are as a nation or the race that or your ethnic group. For example, I'm sure that a black person or an Indian looking person feels more safe in Vietnam or in Asia as a whole than in the United States, especially when talking about police. But yeah, to me, it's very shocking to see, for example, a Russian person teaching English in the kindergarten, even though this Russian person knows no English at all, and to see an African or a black or an African American with a perfect resume, PhD in education, unemployed in Vietnam. This hurts and this is really bad, in my opinion. So another cultural shock that is not like this harmful, let's say, is that Vietnamese people in Vietnam, there is no scheduling things. Everything is in the now. You have to do that this very moment. If you're from a Western country like the UK or the US, Germany, Norway, you're gonna break your brain in Vietnam because people don't plan for later. They just do things in their own time. Let's say that you schedule something at 3 p.m. Okay, people show up at 3:05, 3:10, 3:30, 3:45, and that's okay. Nothing, they will come just as nothing happened. And if you have to plan something, for example, let's say for the next 3 days, it's gonna be like, okay, let's see tomorrow, let's see the other day, let's see. It's always like, let's see. There is no definite answer. And this is combined with the saving face culture. They just don't want to look embarrassed or they don't want to give you a wrong answer. They have to save their face. There was this case that me and my wife, we wanted to go to the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum and we scheduled with 2 of our friends from Vietnam. They are very nice, they're very kind, they treated us very good. We really like these 2 girls, these 2 young women. But it was always funny because we say like, okay, so what time do we go to the mausoleum? Yes, like, are we going tomorrow? Yes, they say this. No, I think we go on Wednesday. I asked them on Monday. And then, all right, so what time do we go there? I think we go in the morning. Okay, but what time in the morning? No, let's see tomorrow we talk about the time that we're gonna leave. And then on Tuesday, the next day, I ask, okay, so what time do we go to Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum? I think it's better to see maybe in the evening. So there's not like a concrete answer or something that can be sorted out immediately so you don't have to, like you just plan something and then you just do it in the next day. No, it's like always like postponing, or it must be something like immediately. And somehow, as weird as it sounds, everything gets done in Vietnam. There is not like like things like half as made or done, you know, like in a lazy way. Because Vietnamese are very hardworking people, and they have this funny sense of urgency that they're always like doing things very fast, you know, like there is no tomorrow. They is like the last thing they're doing before they die or something. So it's kind of funny when you see this. But yeah, things get done in Vietnam, even though there is no such thing as proper planning or scheduling, let's say. So this is a cultural shock that I really like, and is the fact of having a siesta. If you're not familiar what a siesta is, it's basically taking a nap after lunch when you are at work. It's very common for most businesses in Vietnam for the person to sleep on the couch, or maybe sleep like in because usually, especially like small shops, they have like a wall dividing behind, you know, like the vendor is staying. So they just go in the back and they take a nap in the sofa, or even they lay down, you know, on the floor on a mat. Even office work, because you don't have to deal with people. They have like a storage room where the workers, they go and take a nap. So this is very nice. I mean, I never see this anywhere else here in Southeast Asia. So Vietnam is kind of unique in that. And I believe it's very beneficial for employees or for people in general to have some rest, especially when they are at work, and especially after having a big, large meal. So they can recover the energy and they can wake up more motivated, with more energy, and therefore happier to perform their work activities. So something that is very interesting, especially to me because I am an early bird, is that Vietnamese people, they go to bed very early. Many people go to bed at 8:30 p.m. or even at 9 at most. And they wake up really, really early. Even more than I could even imagine. I don't imagine myself waking up like some Vietnamese people, especially the aunties or the grandmas, or the grandpas also. They wake up at 4:30 a.m. and they have already all this energy to go jogging or to do like some Tai Chi in the middle of the road or in the park. So it's very interesting, this behavior of the Vietnamese. That's why it's also very difficult to find places open like around 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. While in other places like Thailand or Malaysia or Indonesia, you can easily find like supermarket, 24/7 convenience shops. I mean, Thailand, they have the 7-Elevens, right? It's very famous for that. It's like everywhere. It's like they are growing from off the street, literally. But in Vietnam, it's kind of hard to find it. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it's way harder. And also, yes, but I see there is nightlife in Vietnam. Of course there is nightlife in Vietnam. It's not like a place that is illegal to party and have fun. But mostly it's in tourist places or karaoke bars that they are very, you know, like in a building with soundproof isolation, so they don't bother people sleeping around. Because most people will sleep at 8:30 and 9 p.m. And this is a very good culture shock, and I think some other countries should adapt it, especially including me. Which Vietnamese people, they are very fit, they are very slim. And surprisingly, Vietnam is one of the places with the lowest obesity rates in the world. Less than 2% of the population are considered overweight. And there are many reasons for that. One of the reasons is that the food in Vietnam is very healthy. They have a lot of vegetables on the plate. The plates are very large, the meals are very large, mind you, but they have a lot of vegetables. They have at least 2 or 3 types of vegetables in the plate. They have a small carbs, like small portions of carbs like rice, and they have protein like chicken, fish, beef, pork, etc. Also, it follows with the soup before. The soup also is very healthy, like some vegetable soup that you can drink and hydrate yourself. So the food in Vietnam helps a lot to keep people fit. Also, like we mentioned before, right? Even the grandmas and the grandpas, they wake up very early to practice Tai Chi, to go for a run. So the Vietnamese, they have this sense of physical activity, like already in themselves. Like everyone, like they do some type of exercising. And something very interesting also, that sugar is like basically the devil in Vietnam. Like many people, when I say, for example, I used to buy chocolate in some shop or something, and I offer to some Vietnamese people, they have like, oh no, 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 I don't like sugar, I don't like candy, I don't like, because they have this aversion to sugar, like it's the devil himself. This can be very good in some extent. Also, chocolate and processed industrialized food it can be quite pricey in Vietnam. But while in Thailand you buy like a chocolate bar for 20 cents of dollar or less, in Vietnam can be from $1. So it's much more expensive. So this one is quite funny, this culture shock in Vietnam that I noticed is that, I mean, I don't say officially, yes, but privacy in Vietnam can be considered kind of illegal. I mean, I'm just joking with that. What I mean is that the Vietnamese people, they are very curious and they have no boundaries. Vietnamese families, they are very large and they share everything. There are no secrets. They just like to talk and comment and talk about their lives, talk about their jobs, talk about everything. They are very united. Even with their friends, they are like this too. They are always hanging around with big groups of friends. And they are very sociable people, the Vietnamese. And that's why I like them, because they are one of the most hospitable and the most friendly people in Southeast Asia. They look cold or they look kind of indifferent, nonchalant at first when you see them. But once you get some, like once you get connected, once you talk to a Vietnamese, they can be very, very friendly. And they can help you a lot also. They can be very helpful. So let me give you a practical example again about the privacy. Sometimes I was in a cafe or something, and then it's very normal for like a Vietnamese look at your screen like this. And sometime like there was a guy, I was sitting in a guest house, and Vietnamese was looking to my screen in my laptop, and I said like, excuse me, did you lose something here? I mean, because this is very normal for them. It's not because they are nosy or because they do this in a bad way. It's just because they're naturally curious. And for them, this is normal. That's the culture, how it is. Some people see it as very invasive and very rude, but I see this is like the way they see boundaries are way more relaxed than Western people, or even like me or some people in the West in general. So it's quite nice. I mean, you have to laugh it off because that's how they do it. You are in their country, and if you don't take it in a good mood, well, that's not their problem. Also, question that you could consider very personal, it doesn't mean anything in Vietnam. For example, I was approached many times, and many other expats and foreigners in general, they have been asked these questions like, are you married? Would you like to marry a Vietnamese woman? How much money do you make? Oh, are you rich? And I mean, this can be quite funny or kind of, wow, the nerve, But I think, honestly, like I said, I just find it funny. And lastly, I think we can talk about something that is quite funny also for me, like a cultural shock, that even though Vietnam is a very traditional and conservative culture, they have these things called nhà nhí, which is like an hourly motel. Because, if you are Vietnamese or if you are a foreign dating a Vietnamese person, you are expected to marry. You don't have like hookup or even like boyfriend and girlfriend thing. You are basically already engaged, and the parents, they expect you to be in a long-term relationship and marry and have kids and buy a house and the traditional script. But some people, they don't want to be, or they just want to have, like some fun, or they just want to meet and see how things go. So that's why they go to these nhà nhí places, and they have a lot of fun over there. This is what also many foreigners, they do when they meet a Vietnamese, and yeah, that's how it is. I think this is kind of self-explanatory, right? And speaking about tradition, especially towards women, it's not very common to see women wearing clothes showing the upper part, if you know what I mean. Like tops, crop tops, all this. It's not very common. I'm not saying it doesn't exist or women don't wear these clothes in general, but it's very, very difficult. It's much more difficult to find a Vietnamese woman wearing this than a woman in Thailand or the Philippines, where it's kind of normal to see that. But, on the other hand, to escape or to compensate this conservatism in clothing, it's very okay for women to wear very small skirts and show their thighs. So it's okay to show your legs, but it's not okay to show your upper torso. It's just like fashion in the end of the day. Well guys, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I love Vietnam, and if I didn't like the country, I wouldn't have gone there for 6 times. I have many friends over there, and every time that I go to a different place because I feel that I didn't explore the country like fully, and I really want to do that. And if you have any other cultural shock you felt in Vietnam, you can let me know in the comments, alright? So thank you very much again, and see you in the next video. Goodbye. Happy trails.